you're inspired. You decide to become a mountain climber. You do Mount Shasta. You're starting to build up towards Mount Everest. And before I interrupted, you were talking about discovering you have some illnesses when it comes to climbing.
Yeah, so there's two major factors that I discovered during the climbing, and it wasn't fear. Fear was actually it was the fear of heights wasn't it was probably at the bottom of the list at this point because when you experience real health issues on the mountain, it's obviously you're facing death. So one of the risks was developing pulmonary edema. So, for those that don't know what pulmonary edema is, it's altitude induced. So, your body fills with fluid, your lungs fill with fluid, and essentially you're drowning in your lungs. So, you have these bubbly breaths and you develop a cough. And if you don't descend within 24 hours, it's fatal. So there then involves a risk of if there's no heli rescue due to weather and there's no oxygen, that's a life or death uh, risk and scenario. So I was faced with that two separate times in the Himalayas on two expeditions, which was very humbling.
I got to interrupt. I want you to know where you can watch an entire episode of JC Unplugged. It's very simple. You just download the 8 News Now Vegas app, which you can find on Apple TV, Roku, and the Amazon Fire Stick, so you'll never miss an episode. Let's get back to the clip. At any point, then you're thinking about, okay, I'm Mount Everest. I'm going to take that off the list because this could kill you. This condition. You're halfway up the mountain, and you need to get down. Did you ever
Right.
think of not going after Everest?
I didn't because I knew that there was always a way. There's always a solution to every problem. And I knew that, and I had so many people reach out to me and say, "Hey, you shouldn't do high altitude anymore. I think that you should do more technical peaks. There's great exposure on some of these peaks where you can, still get that high and that, thrill." Everyone had their inputs in my mountaineering experience. And I said, Mount Everest is a dream, and I'm not going to let anyone take that away from me. So I reached out to every high altitude doctor that I could find. And I spoke with this one doctor, Dr. Peter Hackett. He's out of Colorado and he specializes in high altitude medicine. And he basically mentioned what I was going through, mentioned that it was possible to still climb at altitude. There was just a certain formula that I needed to plug in. And so this was 6 months prior to Everest.
Okay.
So I decided to try out that formula on a smaller peak in the Himalayas.